Hello everyone. Sorry, no gloves today, so excuse the hands. And I'm not gonna talk a lot. I'm busy working on this SK1. So base restore's been done. We're now trying to put the edge on this not so straight razor. So this stone, I'm not sure if you can see, LDAB, so it's a Ladresante or blue, and this is from Vein 6 in Belgium. It's one of the stones I enjoy doing bevel sets on. It also produces a very comfortable shaving edge. But what we are going to do when we're done with the bevel set is we are going to put a Nagura edge on the razor. So the bevel set I'm doing on the Coticile, and then we are going to use the Heaven and Sky. I want to thank Lazarus a lot for borrowing me his stones. These red stamps is the most important thing when you're looking at buying Naguras. Iwasaki-san did a lot of research into the stones through a colleague of his that lived close by the mine. So this mine stamp, the red one with the 3 kanjis on, take a photo of them. This is what you need to look for, and then you will get the type of stone stamp on here into. Bye-bye, liefie, lekker werk. So that's a Heaven and Sky. Same thing here. There's the stones, and this is a coma. So let's continue with the bevel set. Like I say in all my honing videos, the most important thing to do is continue inspecting, seeing where you're at, changing the necessary pressure, and focusing on how you grind. So a question that keeps up coming over and over again when asking about honing is pressures. Now guys, pressures are going to first of all be determined by the grind on the blade. If it's a very thin grind, very flexible, you cannot exert a lot of pressure on it because it will flex and it will push the edge away from the stone. And that's how you create a bevel behind the cutting edge. So 1 second, my Jack Russell needs me to throw a plastic mouse at her. Guys, I'm quickly inserting this video. I started talking about pressures, but really never got to it. I was speaking more about grind. So Iwasaki has got a bit of a guide about how he describes pressure. So once again, consider the grind because you want to adjust that going forward. So on a core stone during bevel set, and this is now talking about Kamasaurus, but if I've got as an example a Tierzi Sart that's also got quite stiff blade and steel, Iwasaki uses 16.5 kilograms of force when doing a coarse work. Okay, so I haven't measured mine, but I was thinking it's at least 8 to 10. Then that pressure gets stepped down as he comes down. So he goes 16.5 kilos coarse, then he's got intermediate, if I can put it that way, that he runs at about 2 kilos or 1.6 if I can recall correctly. Then he goes finer, he goes to I think 165 grams. And then when it gets to the final state of polishing, it's the weight of the razor only. So I hope that made sense for you. On an ultra thin grind with a very soft steel, during bevel set, obviously you are going to destroy a razor if you are going to attempt 16 kilos on there. Okay, the edge will be somewhere in the middle of the blade. Alright, so that is the insert around pressures. Alright, so I think some of this I might just speed up because this is going to take some time. So the other thing about an edge that is not straight is that it will never be flat. Okay, so a round edge cannot be flat. So let's just quickly show that. Just want to get a bigger stone. So if I put this razor on here flat, you will see that there is a big wobble on it, and that is because it's not straight. So when you hone, you have to do the rolling strokes, and this is where experience, patience plays a big role, and not being in a hurry, because you won't get there. So as I said, I'm going to set the bevel on the Scotty, and then we're going to use the Naguras on this black stone. That is not a J-Nat, okay? That is a black Arkansas, and those hardcore Japanese owners with their J-Nats are going to jump up and down. So before you do that, you have to go and maybe study Iwasaki-san's research and thesis on honing and metals, and you will quickly find out that with J-Nats and Naguras, what is cutting the metal is the Nagura. It is not the base stone. And that's actually quite easy to demonstrate. If you take emery powder as an example, and you put that on a glass surface, and you take a metal to it and you work it, you will see that it cuts the metal. So it's not the glass that's cutting the metal, we know it's the particles. And if you're still unsure or arguing about it, take a microscope and go and see what happens. Take a Nagura, work the stone, work the razor, go and look at the scratch pattern. Clean the stone off and work on the stone only, and compare the scratch patterns and then come and report back. I've done that. Iwasaki's done that. So remember that. The Naguras are cutting. If you've got nothing on the stone, then the stone would be doing some of the cutting. I think the most difficult part of this razor to hone is definitely the heel. I quickly want to show you if the heel's got contact. Look there. There we've got contact. There, flat contact on the heel. Look at that. And the same if you come this side, working the toe. I've honed a couple of smileys. I don't think there's anything more extreme than the SK1. So this is definitely a massive learning curve for me, or experience. And I'm very grateful for Laz for allowing me to gain this experience on these beautiful razors. Thanks again, Laz. Also the stones. So I have got a couple of hopefully older Naguras coming in. People tend to use the word vintage. Well, I mean, these stones were formed billions of years ago, so I think they're all vintage. It's more about when they were mined. So we'll see when they arrive, what they like. And I'll share that experience with you guys when I get them in a couple of videos. So once again, Jacques, when is a bevel set? A bevel is set when the razor will take hair on skin contact without any pressure or effort. Not bits of the blade, not only a section, the entire length of the blade. I want to put a bit more water in here, and I want to see if you guys can see the wake in front of the edge. I hope you can. So looking at the water and how it runs over the edge, I've said this in many of my videos, that is the most important visual indicator of how you're tracking, where you're making contact, and if things are being cut the way you would expect it to be cut. So I'm shortly going to test this razor for a bevel set, and then I might move on. Gigi, a Jack Russell doesn't stop or quit, ever. In any case, hey! Alright, so let's see if I've gotten anywhere close to setting a bevel on this. Always first visual inspection. And we've got something going there. It's a question of how it feels. Not bad, maybe a bit more work. I haven't got many arm hairs left. Okay, so we're back. I believe I've got a good bevel on here. Hairs just fly off in contact, so heaven and sky. This is a black Arkansas is the base stone. It's not a J-nut. So a lot of the, or some of the Tomo Naguras, especially if you work on a very hard stone, you will feel the abrasive particles in the stone. And sometimes they can be larger or more concerning than I like. So I use the stone just to roll out and flatten and smoothen out the smaller particles. So I'm essentially just breaking them down a bit. So there's the slurry from that. So obviously now the pressure comes down a lot. And here it's critically important to see the wake. Sorry, I think I bumped the camera with my head. Are we still on? Yeah. So here, about 200 grams of pressure, maybe a little bit less. And I'll shortly switch to in-hand honing, so that I can get the dexterity, feel and feedback what I need. The harder the base tone, in my opinion, the better the feedback. At least for me. So the Heaven and Sky Tomo Nagura is a mid-range tone, if I can put it that way. The Coticile will already put a shave type edge on that. So it has got a slightly larger particle size than this, in my opinion. So the work here is not going to be a lot, hopefully. And then we're going to switch to the coma. Okay, same thing. Now we're going to switch up to the coma. I'm happy with the bevel on that. I typically do 2 progressions of a stone, so I would do 2 progressions on the Heaven and Earth and then 2 progressions on the coma. What you will see with the final stone, this coma polishing stone, it's not as white and thick and milky as the other one. It's a very thin, very fine polish that leaves a tremendous edge. So once again, I'm just working that slurry a bit with the stone so that if there's bigger particles, I just break them up. And there we go. Same thing. So these strokes are incredibly light. And for this, I'm going to switch in hand. Sorry, guys. With a smile blade like this in hand, with X strokes, rolling X strokes, for me, I've found working well. Once I've shaved with this razor, because there's been a request for me to shave with this. So as long as you guys pick up the hospital bills, I'll do that. So so I rinsed both razor and stone. So this stone now has only got water layer on it. So the arc will be doing the polishing now. There's nothing else. It's incredibly hard stone. This is not going to fundamentally do anything on the edge. I use it just to clean it up briefly. This is very light, only the pressure of the razor. And then up next, if my Jack Russell can keep excitement in play, we're going to strop this and then see where we're at. Gigi. Waar is je meis? Huh? Waar is je meis? So this is palm stropping, guys. It's really not anything dramatic. It's always a nice party trick, but fundamentally anybody can do it. Just roll it. Don't use force. Don't get distracted. So hopefully, I would have liked to done this on a proper piece of suede, not my palm. But in any case, we shall see what transpires. So a hair, a very fine one. Not sure if you guys can see it. So that's just mowing this hair off. I would just want to try the toe. And then we can turn the hair around and then we can test root out. And there we go. And I think with stropping on leather, we'll get an improvement there. Either way, it does a hanging hair test root in very effectively, which I'm happy about. So it just plinks these very thin hairs easily. So that's that, guys. Up next, hopefully a shave.